Shalom, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Haushai, Bahashem HaKadosh. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, who are the true leaders of Israel today, and salutations to all of the Akium who do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as they are the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. My name is Akalia, and this video is on the prophecies of Yahweh Shemishai, specifically about the plagues. And as it says in 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and verse 1, it says, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true." So the prophecies will come to pass. There are no ifs and buts about it. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. So our people won't believe the words that we tell them, which are the words of Yahweh Shemishai, and they will receive the judgment for not repenting and listening to these words. "For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness," talking about you Israelites, as only the nation of Israel can be faithful, as only the nation of Israel will be saved when Yahushua returns. The promises, the gifts, the kingdom is all for us. Yahweh Shemishai is our power. We were given the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishai. So only an Israelite can be saved, and the faithful of the Israelites consists of the elect of the nation of Israel that will be faithful. But the majority of our people will not be faithful. For example, 2/3 in America will be destroyed. So it says, "Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction." So these are the judgments that are on their way. And these judgments are set at the end of the kingdom of the Edomites, who are these so-called white people. They are the wicked. As it says in Job chapter 9 and verse 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and they rule. And so it says in verse 6, "For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled." And that's because the people that are ruling it, the nation rather, are the Edomites, and the Edomites are the wicked, as it says in the book of Malachi. It says that they are the border of wickedness. And when you look at the state of the world, while they are in rulership, you can clearly see that they do not establish the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shemishai anywhere in the world. And instead, they promote the opposite to it, which is wickedness. So Yahweh Shemishai will be bringing judgments upon the world, which are these plagues, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, and the pestilence, which is a plague. It's a disease. And during the time of our Egyptian captivity, before Yahweh Shemishai delivered us out of that captivity, ancient Egypt, which were ruled by the Hamites, or the so-called Africans, they faced a plethora of plagues that infected them. So it's going to be the same thing again before our deliverance from this captivity under the Edomites, that Yahweh Shemishai is going to be sending plagues onto the world. So with that being said, here's this video from Jason A, which is a channel that collects current events and displays them to the world. You know, gathers a whole bunch of clips, and it's very great that there are channels like these out there, so that, you know, it really makes it easier for those of us that believe, you know, the prophets of Yahweh Shemishai. And of course, everything is always filtered through Bible prophecy. So Always be aware of that when you do check out this channel or any other channel. Always filter what is happening, current events, or things that you're watching, etc., through the scriptures related to Bible prophecy. So here it is. It says, it has begun pandemic emergency in America. And this is based off of the whole bird flu situation, which is something that I've been keeping up with week by week. And it is something that they're not pumping the brakes on it. And we are starting to actually see the effects of this bird flu situation as it is being said by Esau Edom. So let's just take a look at what's going on with it.
Humans. Now, I will tell you that COVID was a minor pandemic. People say it's the biggest pandemic we had in 100 years. It's a minor pandemic. It had probably less than 0.5% mortality, and then only in certain patient populations.
And I just want to say this as well. The Edomites were these so-called white people, Esau Edom. They use these diseases, etc., to push forward with their agenda. And their main agenda is their NWO, with the microchip, which is the mark of the beast, being the main part of that. So they use these diseases, these pestilences, to their advantage to bring about certain kinds of chaos and then the order out of it. Their motto is never make a good crisis go to waste. Their motto is order ab chaos, order out of chaos. And these diseases are like the perfect tool for them to use, because it's the invisible enemy, in a sense, that there's no one to blame for it. You get what I'm saying? So it can ravage the people, even though we know that didn't happen during the 2020 worldwide situation. You know what I'm saying? But we know that it is going to come to that kind of level based off of the scriptures, that people really will be perishing very rapidly from the pestilences and the diseases, right? But it will ravage the people, and it can ravage other things and bring about certain kinds of chaos and bring about certain kinds of levels of trouble for people in the world, right? One of the things that is happening with this bird flu situation is that now egg prices have gone up. They're having to cull a lot of the birds, the chicken, and they're saying that the bird flu also affects the cows as well. So I'm sure that we most likely will be seeing something happening to the meat supply regarding cows and chicken and milk and all kinds of byproducts of these things. And they're saying that it also affects, people, and they say that it's also affecting all kinds of things and all other kinds of animals. And also they've said that they found it in pet food, which means they're saying that the factories can be contaminated with it, right? So there is no specific person to blame per se. Instead, it's like it's the disease, or the whatever that they can blame and say, oh, this is what's causing all of these things, even though through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemishai, it is known that Esau Edom is the one that does these things, right? They are the wicked. Okay, so let's just play this.
So it's over 60, over 65.
Quick, 30 seconds. Why should we be worried about bird flu?
Bird flu is going to be a major pandemic. If in the cases to date in humans have about 50% mortality. If you look at bird flu right now, it's in over 150 million of our chickens and birds. We now know it's in 48 different mammal species. It's now gotten into humans. It's starting to change in humans. Once it learns how to go human to human, we will have a catastrophic pandemic.
We also learned this weekend that
and they've been talking about this. They've been talking about that the next big one is coming. The next big one is coming. And this is something that the wicked elite of Esau Edom do. They tell the people in plain sight. They show it in their media, their television, their movies, etc., what their plans are. And then they become quote unquote self-fulfilling prophets of sort, and it actually happens. but it's because, they're doing it and then they, you know what I'm saying? So this whole situation, it is going to be coming about mainly because, and firstly because of the prophecies of Yahweh Shemishai. Okay? Going back to 2nd Esdras, let's go to chapter 16 and verse 17. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? So the scriptures let us know that these things are coming. Behold, famine and plague, diseases, pestilences, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. So Yahweh Shemishai let us know that in these very terrible days that are coming, which are known or is known as Jacob's trouble in Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 7, that we will be experiencing these things: famine, great death, the beginning of wars, the beginning of evils, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish. So these things are coming. So that's why I can boldly say, yeah, of course, something is coming. Now, will it necessarily be from this situation? We'll have to wait and see. But based off of what's going on right now, it can be said, okay, well, it could occur based off of what's going on right now, because Bible prophecy says that it will occur at some point, right? So
we will have a catastrophic pandemic.
We also learned this weekend that the number of hospitalizations is up to 4. That doesn't seem like much, and it isn't, but the worry is if the virus is left unchecked, a more substantial health crisis could be looming.
Now to the spread of bird flu, which is causing egg prices to soar. Dozen eggs now 50% more expensive than a year ago, and there appears to be no relief in sight. Several U.S. Department of Agriculture employees working on the country's response to bird flu were accidentally fired over the weekend, and now the government is trying to hire them back. In a statement released yesterday, the agency says it's working to rescind the letters for the positions related to bird
or someone else who comes into close contact with infected animals. So now the flu virus is made up of 8 different pieces of genetic material. When you have different flu strains infect a person or another animal at the same time, those flu strains can swap parts. And that's how you make a new hybrid flu strain. These new hybrid flu strains can be especially dangerous because now you can get the human-to-human spread, and that can spark a pandemic.
Here's one habit that makes you extremely intelligent.
And that can spark a pandemic.
Putting it a horror movie. I mean, that is terrifying.
It's Frankenstein, right?
The U.S. Department of Agriculture has issued conditional approval for a bird flu vaccine for use in chickens. The vaccine from manufacturer Zoetis. Weekend, Ohio's health department reported the 4th case of a person being hospitalized for bird flu.
Now look at that. It's the same kind of pattern, the same kind of narrative as the situation in 2020. The only difference right now is that they're taking their time with it. They're really making it cook. They're really making it simmer. They're taking their time with it. And speaking as a man from observing it, I think it's because maybe they will be using this one to attack the food supply. As the video already stated, eggs are affected. And I mentioned earlier that, and it was said in the video too, that it's affecting everything. So so when the animals are affected by it and they're not able to produce any more meat or byproduct, then, that is famine, on its way. And the famine is a part of the scriptures. It is going to come, right? I just read about the famine in 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and 16. But also in Ezekiel, it says what is coming. Ezekiel 7 and verse 15, the sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. So Yahweh Shemishai is bringing a multitude of judgment. So the famine and the pestilence are coming, and we're heading into some very terrible times. Jacob's trouble. In Matthew chapter 24, Yahushua let us know what time it is based off of the things that we see. in verse 24 and verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. So we're literally at this point right now. We've seen and heard the rumors of wars. We're seeing the nation rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and we're seeing the multitude of earthquakes, a regular occurrence, and now we're seeing the development of these pestilences. And it's not just the bird flu, that narrative that's going on. We've heard of the zootonic, I believe, henipavirus in Alabama. You have the situation where apparently the Ebola was maybe in New York, and there was some hazmat suit situation, and then we heard about the eye bleeding disease situation as well, the Marburg disease, I believe that's what it's called. And then you have the quademic situation that they're also speaking about. So it's not just one that they're focusing on with the bird flu. There are a multitude of them that they're saying that's out there. And even when you go to Google and you go to quademic, now this, look at this here from MSN, right? Has a quademic hit the US, 4 viral infections and what to know about them. So this, it says 5 hours ago, right? But this article isn't actually, wasn't actually published 5 hours ago. When you look at this, this has been a story that they've been updating over time. This was first reported, as you can see, from 4 weeks ago. And I can't read the rest of it because, you know, it requires the app. But the quademic situation is a mixture of 4 different diseases, infections, whatever, right? It's the one from 2020. It also includes the flu, the RSV, and the norovirus. And as you can see, there are updates about it. And then when you look at this situation with the bird flu, I mean, the bird flu is literally being updated every single day. That's why I say they're not taking their, they're not pumping the brakes on it. And they keep selling the narrative of something is coming, something is coming. They're conditioning the minds of the people in a way. So same thing here again with the egg prices. Here it is, bird flu in dairy cows is a slow motion disaster for public health. So there it is 14 hours ago from the New York Times. All right. You can see it's all over. Once again, 35 minutes ago, Minnesota to begin testing raw milk for bird flu. There it is. So you see, as I mentioned before, right, where I said that I think that they're using the bird flu to hit the food supply chain. You know, it really looks to be that way because with the chicken situation, and now they're focusing on the cattle, and now they're focusing on testing the milk, because if the cows are infected with a disease, then obviously any kind of byproduct from it cannot be used for human consumption, right? There it is right there, man. 35 minutes ago, CBS News. Okay? So it's just building day by day. So these are the times that we're in, but in the Matthew 24 and verse 7, right, it mentions these things, but then it says in verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So we're going to be in the midst of multitude earthquakes, a multitude of pestilences, and a multitude of famine. And Yahushua says that these are the beginning of sorrows. So can you imagine the times that we're heading into? If those things are the beginning of sorrows. Now we know that cannibalism is coming. It's going to be a part of the famine. So things are going to become so destitute. People are going to become so destitute. Things are going to become so awful that these things are going to be happening, and then we're going to be in an even worse situation. The judgments of Yahweh Shemisha are going to be so severe upon the earth. It says in Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. So the elect will be delivered from the plagues and the troubles. But for our people that don't believe, I mean, you're going to get judged from Yahweh Shemisha, and it's not going to be pleasant. You think that these judgments that are coming are going to be like a walk in the park, like, oh, you're just going to get like you know, like a quick, swift kind of thing. No, it's not going to be that kind of way. Yahweh Shemishai is going to, it says that there are spirits created for vengeance. It's going to be some really terrible times. And we know that like concentration camps, martial law, all those kinds of things are coming. You get what I'm saying? So we're heading into some really terrible times, and based off of what we're seeing right now and what Yahushua says, we're in the midst of this period. And then when you look at the other prophecies, and you know, especially that Mark of the Beast prophecy and how it's being developed day by day, and the systems being implemented to facilitate its usage, which the microchip already can be used. People are already microchipped, and they're going to certain places from America to the UK to Europe, and I'm sure many other places around the world where they are microchipped, and they're going to the grocery store and they're using the microchip to make payments. So the payment systems in place can already accept the microchip payments. You see what I'm saying? But obviously Esau, Edom, they have an idea for what they want their NWO to be with their smart cities and their 15-minute cities, which are really just you know, new slavery camps, really. You know, when you really look at it. But yeah, man, all of these things are on their way. And you know, this video,
the issue with cats,
Cat, but it's
reportedly.
warning bird flu continues to spread across the country, impacting dozens of farms and roughly 20 million poultry and birds in just the last 30 days. In a new report over the weekend, the USDA is saying the national wholesale average price for eggs increased 40 cents over the last week to $7.74 per dozen. Experts say there's little chance that we're going to see lower costs coming anytime soon, with continuing outbreaks limiting the ability for those farmers.
Right. You see, that's the thing. It's continuously being reported. They're saying it's doing this thing now. The veracity of it, y'all already know what it is. We're dealing with the devil. Never trust thine enemy. Any kind of information they put out there, you have to be skeptical about it. That's just the way it is. But the fact of the matter is that they are making their move. They are actually doing these things. And the people in the world are actually experiencing it. In America, people are posting on social media that, whoa, we are experiencing this. This is what's happening. They're reporting, oh, this is happening in the grocery stores, all these kinds of things. So, I mean, it's only a matter of time, man. This thing is going to hit really, really, it's going to be hitting quite strong. Okay? Quite strong. In 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 37, it says, behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. As when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. So it's like childbirth. Y'all know the process of childbirth. You know, the woman, I think she feels something, and then the water breaks, and then the closer it is that the child is to being birthed, she experiences contractions, and the pain gets worse and worse and worse and worse. It's going to be just like that, man. It's, as the scripture says, comparing to the way that the plagues are going to come. I remember just further up, the prophet Ezra said, woe is me, who shall deliver me in those days? So of course the answer is Yahweh Shemishai. But you know how Jake is. So the way he described it, you know, is to put a very great emphasis on how terrible the times are that are coming. You get what I'm saying? Second Ezra 16, and where was I? It was slack. Right, it says in verse 39, even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrows shall come upon it on every side. There's going to be a lot of crying, and a lot of depression, and a lot of sadness, and you know what other things come from that, when the mind is in that kind of mental state. But the elect of the nation of Israel will be completely fine, because the scriptures say in Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 6, that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. So having this truth will keep us going. It will keep us firm, because we will have understanding that these things are to happen, and then when we're in it, we understand that we know why it is happening, and that we also know that salvation is also on its way, and everything else. So yeah, man, that's it. With that, all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemishai, B'Shem Kodesh. And we are of the hopeful elect. We don't know if we're going to be saved. We're prisoners of hope, but our hope is to be saved, right? So shalom.